Today I'm so excited. I'm going to share with you one of my very favorite techniques. It's called reverse collage. Tissue painting goes back many, many years. Actually, my mother Aline wrote a book called Tricks with Tissue back in the 1960s, and there's a project in this book that's a tissue collage or painting with tissue. But it wasn't until I was introduced to reverse collage back in the 1990s by Patty Wilkinson that crafting with tissue paper or collaging with tissue paper took on a whole new look for me. So let me share with you my reverse collage angels. The first step in this project is to select your frame. You want a frame that has a piece of glass in it. I found this frame in the frame department and it's so cool because it has two pieces of glass. So you can do two projects in one. You want to be sure and wipe the glass clean of any fingerprints. I've just sketched out a pattern with some angels on it that I want to create for my reverse collage, and I just traced where my glass line is so I could be certain that my pattern would fit where I want it inside. You want to be sure that you leave enough room for the channel on all of the sides when you put it back into the frame. The next thing you want to do is take your Aleene's, tack it over and over, and just start tracing your pattern line. So follow your pattern lines until your design is complete. Once you have completely traced your pattern lines, you want to set this aside to dry overnight until your glue is clear, like this. So it's still tacky to the touch, but the glue dries clear. The next step in your reverse collage or reverse decoupage project is to apply your craft foil. The foil comes in sheets like this, but I like to cut it down into smaller pieces. It's a little bit more manageable. You want to be sure when you're applying it that you put the dull side, and on this particular sheet it's the silver side, down. And just press it into your Aleene's, tack it over and over, and pull up. And there's your foil. What you don't want to do is press any of the foil paper back over the glue that does not have foil, because it really sticks and it could pull your glue back up. When you're working on the glue, be sure and push to the sides also, because it's very raised. You want to be sure and get your foil onto the sides. So continue to add your foil onto all of the glued areas. Be sure to save all of these pieces of partially used foil because there's plenty of foil left on here to use on other projects. Now that this is completely foiled, it's time to start our reverse decoupage. For the reverse decoupage step of this project, you need tissue paper and your Aleene's matte decoupage. I've prepared my work surface with a non-stick sheet, and you want to raise that foiled area up, so I just taped some craft sticks together. I don't want the foil that I just worked on to stick to the table, so we want to raise that up and lift it off the tabletop. So we're working in reverse now. The first thing that you want to do is just start applying your Aleene's matte decoupage, and I cut some little hearts from my gold tissue paper, and I want to place those down first. And because you're working with the tissue paper and it's so thin, you don't need to apply to the tissue paper, but just lay it right into your decoupage. When you're using a thicker paper, you want to coat the back of the paper before you put it down. But as I mentioned, on the tissue paper, because it's so thin, you don't need to do that. I've torn my tissue paper into small pieces, and I just overlap them and start filling in the spaces. So for the wings, I'm using several colors of yellow, and you just keep adding to the area that you want to color. This technique is painting with tissue paper because you're using that tissue paper for the color that you want to the background. I'm going to continue to add until all of my shapes have been filled in with the tissue paper colors. Once you have finished your main designs, it's time to start working on the background. I have torn my background tissue color into large pieces and smaller pieces because you'll have some smaller nooks and crannies that you need to fit these pieces into. I'm adding just a few touches of lavender tissue in the background. I like the stained glass effect that gives. This dries very, very quickly, so be sure that you have your glue smoothed out. And you'll notice on the edges that I've actually let some of the pieces hang over. I just leave those to cut off when it's completely dry. So we're going to let this set to dry completely. Now that my Aleene's matte decoupage is all dry, all I need to do is cut off the extra tissue that I left along the edges, slip that glass right back into the frame, and this piece is ready to hang on the wall. This is so easy to do. You can create this with any designs that you like for any occasion, whether it's the holidays or special gift giving. I love my reverse collage. I'm Tiffany Windsor, and I think it's cool to craft.